Imagine living with chronic pain that can strike anytime, anywhere. That's the reality for thousands living with sickle cell, a condition affecting more than 100,000 people in America alone. For too long, this illness has been misunderstood and even stigmatized. But a new wave of hope is rising, with groundbreaking treatments pushing the boundaries of what's possible. But can these advancements bridge the gap between promise and reality? What is the real cost of unlocking a brighter future for those living with sickle cell? Join me as we dive into the numbers, explore the business case for these therapies, and uncover the potential to rewrite the story of sickle cell. Buckle up, because the future of healthcare is taking shape, and you're invited to witness it unfold. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Malone, and I am interested in the business of healthcare, the business of property, and the business of changing my life. So just to get started, what is sickle cell? So in the blood, you have red blood cells, which are a circle shape. And these red blood cells deliver oxygen to different organs all around your body. And they travel through your bloodstream in a circle shape, being able to deliver oxygen all around the body. Now, for those people who have sickle cell, what happens is these red blood cells form a sickle shape, which is almost like a crescent shape, which looks like a moon. And of course, when this shape is now smaller, there is less oxygen which can be delivered to different organs around the body. And what can happen sometimes is these red blood cells can almost get like clogged up in people's arteries. And this can cause something which is known as a sickle cell crisis. And in a sickle cell crisis, the severity of this differs from person to person, but it's reported that these sickle cell crises cause a person so much pain. And this is something which some people have to be hospitalized for, or some people are able to manage their crises at home. There is a lot of stigma surrounding sickle cell, because sickle cell can sometimes be referred to as the black disease, because this is something which a lot of people from an African and Caribbean background often suffer from. This is something which people with sickle cell have even reported that when they go into hospital, sometimes they feel like doctors don't even know how to treat sickle cell. Doctors don't even know how to manage a sickle cell crisis. And this is part of the discrimination that exists with this condition.
I've heard stories about people coming to hospital and being told that, oh, you're not in pain, you just want the pain medication.
As I mentioned, we are entering a new era when it comes to sickle cell treatment. There is a piece of technology called the CRISPR technology. And this technology has recently been launched in the last few years, and it comes as an amazing piece of technology for people living with sickle cell. So in a nutshell, and of course I'm going to simplify this down so much, what CRISPR technology does is it allows scientists to be able to go into someone's DNA sequence and to be able to alter genes. So scientists can essentially go into your genes, cut out the gene which causes sickle cell, and replace it with something that doesn't cause sickle cell. And of course, this will mean that the person who's been living with sickle cell will essentially be cured, or will have better outcomes now that they no longer have the genes which are causing sickle cell. The catch, however, to this treatment is, yes, it might be great that scientists can go in and cut out your genes or basically replace them with a new one, but the cheapest option will cost you $2.2 million, or there is an alternative which will cost you $3.1 million. And yes, I know they sound like super high numbers, but if we move on now to look at the economic impact of someone living with sickle cell, it is estimated that a person living with sickle cell will cost the healthcare system between about $4 to $6 million across the course of their lifetime. And you might be wondering how people got to this figure. This figure is usually accumulated from things such as hospital stay, things such as the drugs that they've been using whilst they've been in hospital and whilst they're not at hospital, and even things down to such as the food that they're going to eat during their hospital stays. Now, I mentioned to you that the treatment costs $2.2 million. Now, keep that figure in mind. As things currently stand, there is almost like two business models in the healthcare space. One of the business models is a fee-for-service model. This is probably what you have heard of, it's probably what you've seen, and it's probably in the healthcare system wherever you're watching this video from. And essentially what it is the healthcare system gets paid for essentially providing the service. So let's take a GP practice, for example. They will be getting paid for delivering on things such as if they can deliver 10,000 x-rays in a year, for instance, or if they are serving a community of 10,000 people around the practice, they will essentially be given a contract to be able to serve all of those people in the community. If we look into another model, and this is a value-based care model. This model reimburses people based on long-term health outcomes. So this model will take someone, for instance, someone living with sickle cell. They are costing the healthcare system $6 million over the course of their lifetime. If we provide this treatment, are we able to stop this person from coming back to hospital? And as a result, this person is now only costing the healthcare system $3 million. This means that the healthcare system has saved $3 million. And the hospitals or the insurer or the provider who is able to make that saving essentially gets a cut of that saving. And essentially what you've had is the person no longer has to come to hospital as much, so they have improved health outcomes. The insurer has to pay out less money over X period of time, and the person who's able to deliver that service has essentially got a cut from improving health outcomes. And if I was building a healthcare system, this is basically the model that I would use, because I think it rewards prevention. And today in the current healthcare system, I think there is not enough emphasis on prevention over cure. And I think this is just because the incentives don't line up a lot of the time. A lot of the incentives are more cure over prevention. The additional benefit to somebody living with sickle cell when it comes to this CRISPR technology treatment is it has been reported that the people who are living with sickle cell in the USA have a median salary of $25,000 a year. And the people who underwent the treatment in the trials with this CRISPR technology drug rose their annual salary to $38,000 a year. This is a $13,000 a year increase simply because you got treatment for sickle cell. And imagine the economic benefit that so many more people living with sickle cell can then have as a result of being able to work, being able to move up the ladder of life simply because they have more money in their pocket. There is also other benefits to society, such as increased productivity, more people paying taxes, so they're able to help out with things such as just improving the society around them as a result of no longer living with sickle cell. According to many people that took part in this study as well, there is just so many other impacts which I cannot relate to myself, but people reported when they took part in the study, such as just being able to go to work. A lot of people had things such as work being disrupted or being able to spend more time with their family because they were unsure whether they would get a crisis, for instance, and then they would have to spend a lot of time in hospital. Earlier on in the video, I mentioned to you to keep the figure in your head. In business terms, there is something which is called the value equation, which essentially looks at someone's perceived outcome over the cost, and this determines whether something's valuable. Now, if we take an example such as an iPhone, for instance, most people would look at an iPhone, even though it's a phone that costs £1,000, but they would look at the outcome that they get from having that £1,000 phone to be greater than the actual £1,000 they spend on the phone, so there is a lot of value in being able to afford that phone. And if we take sickle cell and use it into the same example, I mentioned that the cost of treatment would be about $3.1 million for the more expensive option. And a person essentially costs the healthcare system about $4 to $6 million over the course of their life. And this doesn't include just other outcomes such as being able to have increased productivity, being able to go to work, being able to have a better salary. And if we take those outcomes and put them underneath the cost, which is $3.1 million, would you take this treatment if you were somebody living with sickle cell? I think personally, I look at that and say that this actually provides a lot of value, although the price seems really high. And of course, the caveat to my statement there is that you can't just go and pluck $3.1 million out of the sky and just do this in a heartbeat. This is something which will require a few more years maybe just to get the technology a bit more advanced and to be able to get governments to reimburse this treatment. At this moment in time, governments are still unsure. They're still deciding whether they're going to be able to reimburse the treatment simply because they're also probably working out that value equation as well. So to conclude, I think the CRISPR technology provides a huge opportunity for people living with sickle cell. This is because somebody living with sickle cell up until now has not been able to imagine a world where they are not living with sickle cell. And this treatment potentially provides that. Imagine somebody who's 35, who's lived with sickle cell all their lives. With this treatment, they could potentially go another 45, 50, 60, 70 years of life without living with sickle cell. And that is truly amazing. I'm a person that believes that the essence of science is essentially, if we do it really well, we should be able to eradicate all illness. Of course, that is something which is probably super ambitious, and the world is not going to be super perfect where we can get rid of all illnesses. This provides a massive step in the right direction to getting rid of sickle cell. I think as the years go by and as more drugs come out for different conditions using the CRISPR technology, this technology is going to become cheaper and cheaper. So maybe in the next 5 years, we'll see this cost go down from $2.2 million down to maybe even $1 million, 500K, 100K. And this, of course, will allow more people to be able to get access to this treatment. Of course, the caveat when we look at things such as health equity is when you have a drug which costs so much money, is it really going to be accessible to the people that need it the most? And I hope as the years go by and as the cost of it comes down, that this allows the playing field to even out a bit more so that more people can have access to this drug. One thing that I would be super interested to see as this treatment comes in is whether the discrimination and the stigmas that are surrounding sickle cell are able to be reduced as a result of being able to have access to this treatment. Now, if you enjoyed this video, if you liked the insight into the business of the sickle cell treatment, let me know in the comments below. I would love to talk about different conditions, different business cases in the healthcare space to be able to educate you guys and also educate myself about how this world works. So if you love this video, please let me know in the comments below or hit that like button, and I will see you around for the next video.